it's been a while I made a video, but I think it's time to make a new one. I just want to make a general video of the state of affairs in the world. So, the media, as it typically does, is just from topic to the topic. Notice that nowadays we don't hear anything about the war in Ukraine, nor we hear anything what is really happening in Gaza. What is happening in Gaza. You might hear people saying, "Oh, the protesters protesting Kamala and that kind of thing." So let's start with a basic. Let's start with Ukraine first. The biggest news right now that I heard recently was Ukraine was able to get quite a few land within Russia itself. For PR, I have yet to really delve in with all the ins and outs of what has happened. But I am going to make a basic guess of how did it happen, and what's going to end up happening. Ukraine wanted a PR win. They know they're losing in all the major fronts. All the last few months, if you're listening to anything that's been happening, Russia has been getting more and more and more land. And all the major strongholds that Ukraine had are crumbling to dust. So, in general, they're not doing so well. Now, of course, grabbing those territory within Russia, and they have tried that in the past. Like, it's obviously, I think that's the second time they tried. This time they were able to get a whole much more land. But just like the last time, it's not going to be it's only going to be temporary. Why? You don't win wars by just getting more land. You win wars through logistics, through attrition. Who can outlast the other? I know it's been a very, very long time that I heard any real numbers about what are the casualties numbers. Ukraine, of course, is not going to you're not going to hear anything about it. Because they have to do the PR that they're winning. And Russia, I don't really, I have not, and I have not heard anything about it in the Russian side. And I really don't and I know that any numbers that the West says, I know it's basically false. It's just pure PR, nothing real concrete in them. Just take it a grain of salt. Like I remember, the last time I had anything concrete, they were saying something like Russia has lost 100,000 soldiers. When the reality, the casualty numbers is up to 100,000, but the KIA was in the neighborhood of around 30,000. Meanwhile, Ukraine, the KIA means a kill in action, was in upwards of 200,000. What we do know for a fact is that on papers, Ukraine's military is in full capacity. In reality, they're not. They don't have enough manpower. They are always lacking men. And right now, their elite forces are being used as defensive maneuvers. They keep getting more and more slaughtered. They cannot keep up. It is really affecting, and it's really affecting the morals. Like the Ukrainian forces morale are in an all-time low. Now, of course, because of their recent PR win, that will probably have some morale boost. I don't have anything concrete to back that up, but just using basic psychology, I will argue that with this victory of able to actually take Kursk, Kursk, I think you pronounce Kursk. This region, that was a major PR win, and it's probably boosted the Ukraine morale as a result. But we do know, because of everything that's been happening beforehand, they're not going to be able to hold on. It's just a matter of time that they're going to lose that territory again. Ukraine, all they have is PR win. They have no real strategies to actually win the war. They don't have the equipment for it, nor they have the manpower to do it. Of course, one of the biggest things that is draining their equipment right now is the Palestinian genocide that is happening in Israel. Because most of the weapon shipment is being diverted towards Israel, because unlike Ukraine, Israel is an actual ally to the US. But Ukraine's purpose was always been a proxy war. Always has been. I know there's a lot of tensions between the Eastern Ukrainians and the Western Ukrainians. The Eastern Ukrainians has always been more pro-Russia, while Western are not. There is continuous myth that the goal of this war is for Russia to take all over Ukraine. It has been, and to try to regain the USSR, to rebuild the USSR. I have not seen any real documents, any proof, any actual sources to prove that. There really isn't. And the idea that Russia is weak, like I want to get, and this is a part I kind of want to discuss a little bit on how things, like, how the things happen in the way it is. When this war happened, everyone focuses on that Putin just invaded Ukraine out of the blue. And he's going to conquer it in 3 days' time. The Western media just keeps blurring that Russia is about to conquer Ukraine in 3 days. I have never seen a single source that is from the Russian side, anyone from the Russian propaganda, or anyone who's pro-Russia, who's been shown. It's like this is a Putin actually believes that he's able to do it in 3 days. I've never seen that. I have never actually seen it. This is a perfect example how people, and it's usually, and I even remember seeing like think tanks saying that that the invasion of by Putin would take 3 days. It's like there's a lot of Western sources who claimed that Putin will invade, were able to conquer Ukraine in 3 days. And this myth, those are pro-Ukrainian, continue to spread that myth. And I've seen a lot of liberals doing just that. And that is one of those things that is like, are you really sure? Are you, like, do you trust the Western media when it's been proven time and time again to lie about everything? It is the same people who, like, it is the same people who say, like, oh yeah, look at Israel and the genocide and how and the lies is happening and all that. But there are also supporting the Ukraine. It's kind of mind-boggling. Like, and a lot of those people, like as I see them, they were like, "Oh yeah, read manufactured consent," and how like the West promotes narratives to get people to go to war, and yet they're believing that. Now, of course, like the conservatives saying. Don't trust much in media. I always knew that the conservatives who are supporting Ukraine, they weren't really anti-imperialist. They never have been. Now there's the extreme rare occasion, but by and large they're not. And it's one of those things that I knew that these people will turn their back. Their anti-war stance is really just fake. Tim Pool was a perfect example of that. In his debate with Emma Vigeland, the topic of Ukraine came up, and Emma said that she supported the funding of Ukraine because of the Budapest treaty, and because the U.S. made a treaty, so the U.S. has to follow that treaty. To me, that argument makes no bloody sense, especially when the U.S. expanded and created a proxy war. For me, that treaty means nothing. If they break their own agreement, then to me that treaty is invalid. Secondly, then they talk about Israel, about the apartheid system and all of that, and if I remember correctly, it was before the whole Palestine genocide that is happening, that is currently happening. And she talked about how they need to stop funding Israel, and because of the treatment of the Palestinians and all that. Tim Pool response is, the subject of Palestine is complicated. It's kind of hard. When you hear conservatives say it's complicated, there's nuance that you have to consider. It is a dog whistle to essentially say, I don't care about the actual facts there, and we're going to pretend there's nuances when the reality is not. There are times things are black and white. There are times that things have nuances. But when it comes to Israel, there is no real nuances. An apartheid regime is an apartheid regime. And when you have in a population who is being systematically being discriminated against, there is no nuances. Now, and at that time they're being war hawk on China, and it looks like there will be the next conflict was going to happen around China. It's because of the whole Taiwan situation. And at that time I was like, and I was pointing out to China as an example as to why it's never going to work. They are going to basically wage a war against China, and their whole anti-war stance is just simply nonsense. And yes, and I've seen a lot of the conservative that are anti-NATO and all that. They're really just anti-NATO because Trump is anti-NATO, and they're not meeting the 2% quota of their GDP for NATO, and for the US, and of course a lot of the policies, like they talk about globalists and all that, they kind of like, they're not so much against what the globalists really are, as much as they didn't like the policy they're going after. And it was only recently that conservatives really became anti-NATO. During the Cold War, they were so pro-NATO. When actual leftists, they were anti-NATO from the start. Why? Because it was founded by Nazis. Now that's a different story for another time. What is important to talk about right now is going back to my point about Ukraine. As I said, they're not, like, the vast majority that they were not really anti-war, because right now, what is it been doing? What's happening? The Palestinian genocide. They're being a war hawk about that the entire bloody time. And I would say I didn't expect that the Palestinian genocide to be the next conflict, and it's showing it was the thing that's going to show the conservative hypocrisy. But my general belief of conservative being hypocrite and they're not truly anti-war was proven true. I was just wrong on which conflict is going to be. Now, this is a different story because this is slightly different than when a conservatives being wrong. And this is actually kind of funny. In the last couple days, I've been watching 2 videos of Dave Rubin and Tim Pool about how the predictions are wrong. And it's absolutely amazing. On virtually every single topic, they're being wrong. And these are like really big, like, conservatives propagandas that millions of people listens to every single day. And they are being wrong, just flat out wrong. And their narrative, they never once say, oh, I'm sorry, I'm actually wrong. No, they're going to lie about what they said in the past. Well, of course, because people can actually show, here's a video what you actually said at that time, completely contradicting what you're currently saying. This, by definition, is a grifter. You can't really be a leftist grifter and actually make money out of it. But if you're a right-wing grifter, all the money in the world will just be pouring out of you. Will be just given to him, to that person. It is, and a lot of leftists think, like Hassan Piker, for example, has mentioned that he knows that if it wasn't because of his integrity, he can be the best grifter out there because he knows exactly what to say and have millions upon millions of dollars because the system of capital will promote that kind of thinking. It is literally true. This and a lot of right wing would say, like, oh, there's no money for telling the truth. To be a right wing, there's no money. When they receive millions upon millions of dollars from conservative think tanks, there is an endless supply of money to be given if you're doing a right-wing grift. One of the best examples of this grifting is Nurse Campbell, like I'm forgetting his first name right now. He has a YouTube channel that talks about COVID. When he started doing the whole pandemic, when the pandemic happened, he was showing the actual data, and his channel was small. Then he started to change his rhetoric. Then he started to lie about the data. Then he started to promote right-wing ideas of COVID, and his channel just blew up. And he's able to make so much more money than a left-wing channel and an actual scientist where they go through the data. exposing his lies, and all of those things. These channels remain small. There's no money in it. There's no money to actually telling the truth. That is something that people need to remember, that it is easy to make money if you lie. And this is something that and of course there's all kinds of laws to try to prevent cheatings and all of those things. However, it has been shown time and time again that if a person is able to lie, they will be able to make a lot of money, and there will not be any real consequence as a result. Like, it's, and especially when you started going towards the top, like you want to start becoming in the billionaire class. These people will make so much money that they will be above the law. I had a debate with a fascist libertarian fairly recently, and we were talking specifically about, he was arguing that everyone was equal before the law. I stated to him, this is false. The billionaires, the capitalists, wants to be above the law, and the laws are made for the average Joe, not for them. And of course, he thought I was the most craziest person. Perfect example of a billionaire who wants to be above the law. Donald Trump, with his recent conviction, he tries to argue that it is a witch hunt, that these there's a false charges, blah 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 blah, and of course the conservatives are supporting this notions. But and by the way, there's like 92 charges, and there is so many different people who continually show how much of a grift Donald Trump is doing. But do they care? They don't. Hey, there's like even like judges that is happening right now who's literally passing judgment to basically saying that Trump did nothing wrong. Like the recent court judging of, you can't use the motives to determine like what is a provincial degree, like what is the president is able to do, and it is as long as a presidential act, and is able to do whatever they want, because they can't even use motive as a way to determine if his motives was truly indeed for a presidential act. Why do you want to do that? Because of the whole lies that he did about the election frauds. Literally giving him a free pass for that. They're literally doing things that allows a billionaire to be above the law, and he cannot do anything wrong. And yet, the conservatives going along with it. And of course, they will say, "Oh, look how all the crimes the Democrats are doing," but their guy, shh, nothing. Not a peep. It is not surprising. Conservatives are the biggest hypocrites out there. And I said it before, and I said it again. They are the biggest hypocrites. They don't care about data. They don't care about facts. You do not give an inch to fascists. You don't give plausible deniability to a fascist, because they're going to try to manipulate you towards their end goal. It is never about the regular Joe. It is about the rich and the powerful. There are always grifters. And the system of capital enables fascism. This is a lesson that the left needs to learn. Stop giving fascists the benefit of doubt. They will backstab you at every chance you get. And Karl Popper, he was a philosopher, and he has his own issue, but he made a philosophy, he talked about a paradox, the paradox of tolerance. And even though all this bad stuff that he did are bad, but the paradox of tolerance, it is something that I truly believe that is true. It is true. Is a true paradox, and we see the evidence for this happening all the bloody time. The paradox of tolerance says this: the intolerant do not care about the tolerant, and allowing the intolerant to do whatever they want, it will create an intolerant society. In order to truly have a tolerant society, you need to be intolerant towards the intolerant. It is a paradox, because you're being intolerant towards the intolerant in order to have a tolerant society. However, grifters has only one goal. They don't want to have a tolerant society. They want to have an intolerant society. And they will do whatever it is possible to get their end result. I know a lot of conservatives will say, this is authoritarian. You don't care about free speech. I don't care about absolute free speech. I do believe in limited free speech. I don't care about those who spread misinformation. I do not care about those who continually to lie in order to make money. We have data. We have facts. It is time to grow up and actually behave like adults. And I have to go now, but I will be making a part 2 later. Bye for now.